30 kilometers of a rough, dusty and bumpy dirt road from Oldonyiro town takes us to this sleepy village. The sound of nature signifies a new day in Lenguruma village. Dressed in traditional regalia and bedecked in many colorful beaded necklaces, earrings and bracelets, Samburu girls stand out in this community where women generally take a back seat in key decisions. The Samburu have an equally intricate and fascinating culture. They are proud and protective of their culture. A Samburu woman in traditional attire adorned with layers of red necklaces is an attraction to behold. But beneath the dazzling beauty of the beads and those who don them is a dark age-old tradition that is thrusting adult roles and responsibilities on girls as young as 10. She's only 10 years old. At her age, this little girl should be in school and enjoying her childhood. But in a community where culture is king, she has no choice. To protect her identity, we will call her Susan. A firstborn in a family of 7, Susan spends her day tending her family's goats on the vast semi-arid expanse of Kipsing, Isiolo County. In addition to shouldering the burden of physical labor, adorned with elaborate headpieces, there is something else, something she is shy to talk about, though everyone in the village knows she is beaded. Samburu culture dictates that girls be engaged to a relative in a ritual known as saen. Girls as young as 9 are given specialized beads by morans, sometimes thrice their age, and eventually they accumulate to create a large, thick jewelry. The act signifies bondage. This is what befell Susan in 2010 when she was only 8 years.
Ilmorran naake woponu naa kore naa peeliki ele murrani ilkulie noponu naa ilkulie nejo ikiyieu naa nikinchooyo ena kerai meishori saen. Nikijo naa iyiok maishoo enchoo naa meishori amu metorrono duake keishori shaake ntoyie saen. Basi nikincho naa meishori. Nepuoi naa ajo kulo murrani yau taa saen.
Without her consent, this little girl qualified to be the Moran's official girlfriend, accepted by the community, and the man was permitted to have sex with her at will.
Keishori apake ntoyie orkop saen poopukuni apake. Ore apake poopuku orkop apake, keishori apake ntoyie enche saen. Naa keisupat naa ina toki, kore entito naata nkunini saen naa kimbayioo ina toki. Keisarkau ina tito, mesupat. Naa ore ena tito nabore saen naa kesupat naa mardadi naa ina toki.
A few meters from Susan's home, in this Manyata, we meet another beaded girl. For now, we will call her Nashaki. She carefully strings the tiny, colorful beads, mixing and blending the colors with visible skill. Nashaki has never been to school. Her life revolves around doing house chores and tending goats. Nashaki, who is only 15 years, was forced into the beading culture in early 2011.
Kore naa siake eewuaki mardadi naa ntoki supat tooyiok. Naa ntito naata saen. Te kienyeji naa yorok. Ntoki supat. Kore naa ntito naata saen tooyiok nikintaki yiok sinkir amu keeta lodimi lenye ntoki supat. Naa meeta naa sii natodolie nanu eishooki naa nkerai ai saen. Kesham naake ilmurrani etu sii idong'. Naa duake meeta sii nkae torrono naa duake natodolie. Kibuita ake nikiata supat naake.
Ore naa duake peyau naa lauta lai kelotu nearr ilmong'o sapuk oleng' neyau iltoi ong'uan lata nkiri kobore.
The rite is so entrenched in this community that it is so easy to identify a beaded girl. The black and white beads known as ankeri signifies bondage. She may look glamorous, but Mary, also not her real name, is only 10 years old, and just like other girls of her age group, she's also clustered as a child bride within the community. And 28-year-old Naishorunkai has been responsible for heaping beads on Mary's tiny neck as a symbol of love. Mary had no say in the arrangement, neither did her mother. It is, after all, still a man's world here. Susan's mother, who agreed to have her daughter beaded, says the practice is part of their lives as girls grow up.
So far watoto wake wote ni holding her, hakuna mwenye alibidiwa. So right now she doesn't know the good thing about bidding.
They are the most striking members of the Samburu community. Between the ages of about 14 and 30, young men are traditionally known as Morans. They dress flamboyantly and adorn themselves with necklaces, bracelets and anklets. With swords partly protruding from their leather sheaths, Moranism is considered the best period of a man's life. Fearless and often arrogant, he is in his prime, and during this period is largely free to do as he pleases. Morans who are in charge of protecting the community can only marry once they have served their community for several years. Bidding, a practice recommended by elders, is something that has gone on for as long as the people of the Samburu community can remember.
Sasa wazee amesema wacha wa Morani yapatie wasichana changa, alafu hapana nganyang'anya sisi wanawake yetu. Ndio hiyo makubaliano.
The practice is normally initiated by the Moran.
Wanajua yuko wengine urembo sana. Wewe naangalia yeye naona mzuri hiyo. Naenda kipembereza kabisa mpaka yeye akubali. Kama sasa nimeshindwa naenda na ndugu yake, namwambia kuja kipembereza. Nyinyi wote naenda kipembereza mpaka akubali.
The Moran then demonstrates affection with lavish gifts to signify that he has officially booked the girl.
Nauso tu ng'ombe nanunua shanga mingi. Alafu nayoka nakaa kuona hakuna nataka tena nausa.
Kwa na doa ita ngujai nage amai para mata na doa samaini na doa ki
Libyo ko dun
na kajana doa na ba amai tu na doa rungop pamatum doa bangai muyen na doa.
The girl has no choice in the matter. The Morans do not even have to consult the girl's parents. And it is regarded as a great insult to the warrior if the girl does not comply.
Nachapa yeye.
Ule murani unakuweka lazima, kwa sababu unakaa kama bibi yake, unajengea hata nyumba hichi hao wawili huko, unakuja saa ile wewe unataka, si ni bwana?
Loltore once beaded a 12-year-old girl for 2 years, but she was later married off to a different man outside their clan. He says the practice earns a Moran's respect in the community. The Moran treats the girl as his wife despite the fact that he will never marry her because she is from the same clan. He is then allowed to engage in sexual activity with her.
Alafu ikindim ndizo daka mata kwa ramatenye muntu kadang kutu shida sapuk nuwo na rukungop ne kata itumo kudaka taramat shabaka benjo ndizo sayen atumukuna daka taramat ntukizi nono mata muntu kauna pete bakata nuwo ni jingaya ngale kai tongane daka na kauna yona ke kusumba
hata mabibi yenyewe hawezi kuingilia akaanga na hiyo msijana yako tu
kwa dol marna zo gudo wat bayo kayuga na ga ilgiti tena ko siko bul marna awul bayin ngodienche nago tana to yenche nago marra dital marra mo ni gara bol mangadi nago gore bagaranya kono lion danje no moro yongi dal mangadi gerre benal marna ne bidunal marna no moro yongi no moro ngara
wasichana ndio wanakuja kupraise vijana kwa manyumba zao, kuimbia ndio wao wanapata ile muri ya kwenda kuiba mali za watu. Wakiiba wanaenda wanauza, alafu wanaenda nunua beads Nairobi.
The path to a brighter future for girls in the Samburu community is still littered with thorns. Retrogressive cultural practices have had a very negative effect on the development of children in this region, factors which are a major challenge to the country in the attainment of the Millennium Development Goals. The practice continues to thrive with the full blessings of the elders. In reality, it is little more than community-sanctioned defilement of a minor. According to children rights activist Jane Meriwas, the ancient practice of beading is a form of sexual enslavement that condones sex between family members.
Beading itself is a silent human right violation, despite the Samburu community feel it's a cultural practice and it is good.
Mary is too young to comprehend that the right has deprived her of her dignity. Indeed, a majority of girls hope to be given necklaces by their most admired warriors. To them, it is the ultimate recognition of one's beauty.
Girls are beaten, and mostly it's at night, harassed by these Morans, and that itself translates to the minds of these young girls that it's much safe, or even safer, if I get to be beaten, because no other Moran can bother me or beat me once I go to these dancing songs at night.
And the other advantage ni kwamba analto isi debot na ya ubukura sit.
Na kama wataenda watengeneze wachinje ng'ombe itoe mafuta.
That is shilingi ni baja.
Watakuletea na wakuletea 500.
The mother of the girl even goes ahead and builds a hut called Singira, a few meters from Hamanyata, where the Moran comes at night for unprotected sex and leaves before dawn. Susan's mother is in the process of building one for her daughter. Mary's mother, who initially opposed her daughter's beading but bowed to community pressure, is still bitter. She was never beaded herself and wanted a different life for her daughter.
So manjagerta ne mlipa yene nkunyi.
Na mishata kenya yisingira.
Na ku macheta na singira. Tono tumagal mrano tumendi so ide. Sawa, tono tuaga tumoninge. No ngera yertisha no wel mrani. Tono tunaga tumore.
The girls are barred from becoming pregnant because they are uncircumcised, yet they are required to have unprotected sex with the warriors. And if they do get pregnant, it is deemed as the girl's fault. And old women quickly step in to perform a crude form of abortion.
Mimi usifurahi ati kuweka mimba. Sitakangi. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya ikiingia, si unawasha unatoroka. Natorokea Si umekuwa mama. Mama ndiye anajua bila ataonga. Mama mimi naweza kipea hawa gasi atoe.
Kwani unawalipa?
Si ndio? Si nalipa. Si nauza ng'ombe. Ndio madaktari kwa mingi hapa.
Kor na kinto ngi tayi yo. Anye. Ke ngor le ka pa ya. Ne jo ama ko na ngoro yo. Ne tayi na ti to ngi yo. Amma marata. Na kunito ke sikin tayi. Ntorno. Ne me si na ko repeyu. Me sin lokot. Amme ngotanye ne me papale. Na ko repo tumpa ko payan.
Namanu is regarded as a specialist here. She's among the women who conduct the brutal act, and she proudly announces that she has so far terminated 4 pregnancies. The women were only too willing to demonstrate what normally transpires. While in some deserted place, the expectant girl is forced to lie on the ground. The women will then hold her hands and legs firmly in case of resistance. Namanu then repeatedly presses down the girl's stomach to force a miscarriage. While the 3 are performing the cruel act, one of the women silently says a prayer. Unspeakable pain. This is what Ngarise, a victim of the crude abortion, went through. She cannot clearly recall the date or year she was beaded as a young girl and got pregnant. And since it is a taboo to give birth before marriage, at 5 months, she was forced to terminate the pregnancy. She says it is an experience she wouldn't want her daughters or anyone to undergo. Some girls have suffered this kind of abortion 2 or 3 times. The process has led to severe complications and even deaths. And in this remote corner of the country, all of it goes unreported. Nashaki's mother, who has built her daughter a heart to engage in sexual activities with the Moran, says she is aware of the dangers and she has a contingency plan. If the abortion fails and the girl gives birth, the family must get rid of the baby to avoid being cursed. And so traditionally, the child is killed within an hour of birth or left in the forest to be devoured by wild beasts. Such children are branded as outcast. But in the midst of despair, One woman is waging a gallant war to roll back the age-old practice. Helen got her turning point one morning 9 years ago as she collected firewood in a nearby forest.
Kasikia sauti ya mtoto kwa mtaro. Kaenda, akachungulia na akapata hiyo mtoto. Nikashukua. Kaulizana. Kasemekana, ana haja. Kwa sababu mwenyewe hataki. Mimi nikachukua hiyo mtoto. Na akalia mpaka akakuwa mtoto. Sasa ako shule, darasa la pili.
3 years later, she came across another newborn baby.
Nimeenda kwa manyata fulani. Akasikia tu hii mtoto, mama yake hataki, baba yake hataki. Nikamwambia usiue, mpeeni mimi. Nikaenda akachukua kwa manyata. Akalete. Akalea hiyo mtoto wangu, akakuwa. Sasa ako nursery.
She is now regarded as an outcast for keeping the 2 children.
Nimeochana na bwana wangu juu ya hii watoto. Na mimi nikaamua. Amburu anasema hii watoto, wanasema sio wazuri.
But for her, the children whom she treats like her own are innocent and need parental care.
Mimi najua kuingia tumbo ni bahati na kupatikana sasa ni baraka. Ndio mimi naona wacha mimi nichukue hii watoto kabisa, iwe yangu kabisa, na wanalia vile mimi naweza, nasomesha vile mimi naweza, kwa sababu hao baadaye sijui watakuja kunisaidia kwa njia gani, na sio mimi peke yangu. Pengine sasa hiyo kijana yangu anaweza kuwa rais ya Kenya na wanasaidia kila mtu, anaweza kuwa MP na wanasaidia kila mtu, anaweza kuwa hata kasola.
And Helen is not alone. Lemiri Was, a mother of 6, is among the few women who have stood against the tradition.
Najo mayunan. Tanama nyanga kinaga papa, naguno na mara. Najo kinjo yento yenono. Najo kimesharon to yene saya na mara bagna na itadol tama. Meti subati chuna. Nado duana na mata nyesina na takeramat. Na aku ke subata na aku mata ama mata tunga liku sombaya. Tinike wele ka tunga ni ai sombaya na mjoro yo. Aya. Na tene wele ka tunga na sombaya na aku na kai tu wata jema june to kamo mayu ga so tune jam mata ndo kuno nata mata na ndo gal tunga ni ata ngini na aku ni ata to duana na dige subata mata na tunga liku ndo kai donga isoma.
Mimi mwenyewe nimepewa shanga wakati mimi ni msichana. Kwa hivyo saa hii mimi sioni kabisa ikuwa kuna faida yoyote au na maana yoyote.
Kipsing is a hardship zone. There is no sight of even a rescue center or a children's home where these girls can run to. The nearest children's home is in Nanyuki or Isiolo town, hundreds of kilometers away.
Challenge kubwa, unajua hata chief na ana gari ya kutembea katika kichaka yote, hana hata resources za kuweza hata kumobilize watu.
Saa nyingine wasichana wanatoka mbali, wanatorokea shule. So pale ya kukaa ni ngumu. Kwa boarding, kwa sababu boarding pia inahitaji pesa. Saa nyingine wengine wanakuja wanakaa kwangu, nyumbani kwangu.
At Kipsing Primary School, we meet a 9-year-old girl. Before she was enrolled in school, Irene, not her real name, was in a temporary engagement with her cousin who used to buy her beads. Tired of being treated as a sex slave, she gathered enough courage one day and ran away from home. She walked for almost 20 kilometers and sought refuge at this school. Worn out, lonely and frightened, she was welcomed, and the beads that had bonded her were thrown away as she began a new life. For her, education was the path to empowerment and freedom. She has since reunited with her father, who now realizes the importance of education. Her story is similar to this group of girls who also escaped from the beads of bondage. They were lucky to find a safe haven at Kipsing Catholic Church, which offers shelter to girls running away from harmful cultural practices. For the girls, the school represents not just safety, but also hope for a brighter future.
Gasina. Itu mana?
Kamu ni di school baka? You ni di school? Baka ni?
Ba shangu ina bakin di school.
Jane Meriwas, who grew up in Kipsing, is trying to encourage a change of behavior and engage in dialogue with elders to change harmful cultural practices one step at a time. The practice is against the Children's Act of 2001. But Jane says it will be a big fight because the practice is deeply rooted, especially in the remote villages where most people have not embraced education.
This culture is not to end today or tomorrow. It's a culture that it needs a lot of civic education, that is continuous civic education, a lot of sensitization. And sensitization, it means that it is a process that the community are involved, engaged, so that they're able to participate free and give their view that this is what we want. That is the only thing that will get some solution to end bidding.
Her stand against tradition and her work to end this harmful practice has not been easy.
Men themselves look at you in a different angle. They see you, one, as a threat. They see you, two, as a person who is just here to talk about the cultural practice which nobody ever talked about it. So they question you, who are you? Why do you want to destroy the culture? This cultural practice is denying a lot of, or even millions of girls among the Samburu community education. If I don't speak about it, who will speak about it?
According to the local administration, the culture of beading is prevalent in the area, and while laws are important, they are not enough to stop these violations, which continue unabated.
If you use force, you will come a time that you will see the whole location is empty, because they can move to other areas where they think they are secure.
Most of these legislation are not implemented, mostly in pastoralist area. One, because of the poor infrastructure, not accessible, schools are not nearby. Between now and Isiolo, you go almost like 40 to 80 kilometers to access a children officer.
We encounter resistance in many ways, in that when you go for such a mission, the parents may end up hiding the children or sending them far away to some relatives in a far off place.
Although they seem to enjoy the mutual relationship, Morans are quick to admit that the practice has taken a toll on the society and caused rift amongst themselves.
Najua tamaa ndio iko mingi na hiyo orani. Tamaa.
Kiata shida nabo. Nodol tongana jindi mdoka shakal tongan. Kiyudu na kapalaga. Shida arba ben. Ata doni.
One.
Child beading is still rampant in Samburuland because majority of parents here consider beading their daughters as a sign of respect. But it seems education is the only solution to eradicate this ancient practice, which has continued to violate the rights of the girl child. Campaigners here say doing away with the practice will take time and effort, but they are not giving up.
For this campaign, it needs at least resources, because you'll be going to different areas, meeting different type of people. Because it's good that you get Morans at their own group, women, elders.
And you cannot fight a culture. The only solution you'll get is the best approach, so that everybody will be in the same boat with you.
The main thing we are embarking on is education, sensitization, rescues, and even preventing some of these early marriages where possible.
Tenevik na tene siri na sara siagi iko dua siagi yo na tata na ko na kimira kita lagi ni ngono nudu na ikereta judu matere ra du ba kita lagi ni amugi yo kita dua je torno na ikereta ba kita lagi ni na du kimira.
To the girl child, the practice has limited her opportunities and increased her risk of violence and abuse. But with women like Jane refusing to give up, hope may yet lie in the horizon that the Samburu girl will someday be liberated from the ominous beads of bondage. Rozongoi, NTV.
Ima